The purpose of this Authentic or Charlatan series is to bring about awareness into transparency, people who are being authentic, and then business practices, and any type of behavior that I see as being fraudulent. And there is no worse culprit than Instagram as a whole. It is an environment that I absolutely despise. It is something I do not participate in, nor do I recommend for you. And this is a perfect time for me to make this video. I've been wanting to make one on Kylie Jenner for a little while, but yesterday or the day before, she uploaded photos that were clearly photoshopped. Now, this video absolutely has very little to do with Kylie Jenner as a person. I want to make it clear that I am not criticizing her as a person. This is more a message I want to bring about, an awareness I want to share with you with Instagram as a whole. And of course, she's great for the thumbnail and title. She's one of the biggest people on Instagram, so of course it's easier for me to criticize her than others. But I want you to become aware of what happens on this app. And on Instagram, if you aren't aware, it's basically very curated content. And the three worst niches, in my opinion, are any type of business guru. These are the people we all go after together. This is the worst on Instagram. We also have the men's physique competitors. These are the guys that are into bodybuilding and physiques and getting this perfect physique. And the third is all the women that are looking to be influencers and using their physiques to attract attention. The reason why I say Instagram as a whole is full of fraudulent behavior is because to me, fraud is when you're putting something out into the world and you aren't transparent about it. You are lying, you are using deception. And that is what happens most with a lot of these pictures. Now, I certainly do not want to single out Kylie Jenner as if she's this bad person. I have nothing against her character. There are a lot of people who use this practice, and that is they inject stuff into their body, they get plastic surgeries, and in a lot of cases for the men's physique competition, they take steroids and they don't tell you about it. And almost in all cases, none of these people share transparency. They never talk about their surgeries. They never share with you exactly what they did to attain this perfect image that they put out on the internet. With you knowing me, I absolutely despise this. I think it's absolutely fraud to put out pictures that are doctored and you are not transparent about why they are doctored. I have no issue with using some filters to make a picture look better, but when your whole brand is putting out an image that is truly unattainable because you yourself couldn't even attain it, I think it creates an environment where the people consuming the content are having issues. And remember, with fraud, there are always victims. And you may look at Instagram and see it as this application like, well, Spencer, there's no victims on Instagram, but there absolutely is. And this is something I'm very passionate about and I'm very serious about. I think there are a lot of people, especially the young kids, who I really worry about when they, especially during this quarantine period where you're sitting on Instagram and you're consuming all of this content. And what you're consuming is not reality. You are seeing the absolute outliers. People like Kylie Jenner are insanely attractive. We're talking about the 1% of the 1% of human genetics in appearance and sexuality. I mean, if you look through her pictures, she's incredibly attractive, as are so many women and so many men on this application. They are incredibly attractive. So you're spending time looking at the outliers, and I think it creates an environment where you essentially compare yourself, but you also are only consuming content that is so minuscule of reality that it really warps your perception of reality. And this is certainly anecdotal, but a few years ago I used to be on Instagram and I was following the swimsuit models. Of course, I love the swimsuit models, I love the thoughts on Instagram. Who doesn't love looking at their pictures? And I noticed at a single moment, I noticed that I was not appreciating the women in my life because I was spending so much time looking through these pictures of all these girls who have doctored photos and doctored physiques that they don't really share. You know, this is through plastic surgery and injections. And I found myself not appreciating those people in my life. Additionally, I used to be really into personal training. I used to follow all these people on YouTube, all these people that are into getting big and muscular. There was essentially a moment in the fitness space where it was realized that most of these dudes use Photoshop in their images, and they also, most of them, use steroids. And once I became aware of all the practices that these men's physique competitors were using, it made me want to leave the space immediately. And I did, for good. And I've noticed that mental health has been improved significantly since I left this app. Because I'm sharing with you Authentic and Charlatan in the business space, I want to expand this into other areas of life. And the absolute core message of this video is that when you are consuming content that is not true, it is not transparent, it can really mess with you mentally. I know a lot of people out there are probably struggling with skin issues. You also might be dealing with some obesity issues. And when you look at these pictures, and half of them, probably 90% of them, are using filters to make the skin look cleaner, they're using Photoshop to essentially thin down the waist, it makes you think like you're not enough. And it really puts you in position to compare yourself to these people and make you think that you are not doing well in life, when in fact, you probably are doing just fine. There's a really good article in the New Yorker on NewYorker.com. It's called The Age of Instagram Face, and it's a really fascinating article where the author of this article goes and checks out one of these very famous plastic surgeons in LA who apparently does so many injections and plastic surgery for people who want the Instagram face. The person that the author meets with, quote, "I think 95% of the most followed people on Instagram use Facetune easily, and I would say that 95% of these people have also had some sort of cosmetic procedure. You can see things getting trendy, like everyone's getting brow lifts via Botox now. Kylie Jenner didn't used to have that sort of space around her eyelids, but now she does. This is certainly not meant to be an attack on these people. I have nothing wrong with plastic surgery. I mean, I could see myself going on some type of like testosterone therapy when I'm older. I have no issue with it. What I do have an issue with is when you're sharing your brand and you're creating a brand around this sexy physique and this image that you put out, and yet you don't tell people how to get that. So when you're Kylie Jenner and you have a lot of teenage women that are following you and they have this idea that they can look like you one day, but they don't understand that it actually takes a lot of money and a lot of cosmetic work in order to attain that physique, attain that appearance, to me that creates just very, very, very bad mental health. And that is what I am so serious about with this topic. Great, Spencer. That was a fun rant to listen to. What can we actually take away from this video? The most important thing with this series is to bring awareness. I simply want to create awareness in viewers and consumers for what you're actually consuming. So there's nothing wrong with following these influencers. Shoot, I love looking at their Instagrams just as much as you do. However, I want you to be aware of everyone that you're following, that most of what you're seeing is not what it seems. And I really hope, for your sake, that you analyze your mental health and try to become aware of how it makes you feel when you follow these celebrities. When you're looking at, if you're a male and you're looking at these physique competitors and they're 6'3", 250 with chiseled abs, and you think that you can attain it by drinking their protein powder, just understand that that might not be true, that what they actually are promoting is an unattainable physique, which is why they couldn't reach it naturally. And you can certainly still strive to be like them, but the goal is to always look behind the picture. Always look behind what they're actually showing to try to see how they actually attained what they're sharing. I think mental health is something that is going to become an even bigger issue in the next decade. I think Instagram right now is not quite at a point where we can discuss the impact that it has on young children. I know that a lot of teenagers are just now coming into this world where Instagram is something that is a part of their daily life. We don't yet know its effect. My biggest concern is that the effect is significantly worse than what we anticipate. And I think we're going to see a rise in suicides. We're going to see a lot of people that are unhealthy with their image of themselves. We're going to see a lot of people that are basically displaying unhappiness traits, you know, things they aren't satisfied with life